Browns are rolling. I think that's, 2 in a row for them, with Joe Flacco now making plays and figuring out how to win games. Late in that fourth quarter, the veteran stepped up, and he made throws.
David Njoku was amazing. He is unstoppable right now, and he has been Flacco's guy. You want to talk about a team that you don't want to face in the playoffs. We talk about the Bills.
Yeah.
Do you know who the best road quarterback in the history of the NFL is in playoff history? It's Joe Flacco.
Wow.
It's Joe Flacco.
Well, listen, their defense actually stepped up, made some key plays late in that last game also.
But having said that, I have a man crush on their defense. The Cleveland Browns play every play like this is the last play of the game and we can't let them get a yard. Every play by the Browns defense is shut them down and make them go for negative yards.
You know, you guys, I'm just going to get straight into it at this point with the Cleveland Browns because this team, man, finally looks like they found a competent quarterback at the helm, even though he didn't have the greatest game against the Bears. And of course, they still have their elite defense that's going to keep them in every single game that they play in going forward. But of course, there's still doubters here and there that the Browns aren't a good team. But me personally, I think this Browns team has a pretty good chance to make a run in the playoffs, considering they still have 3 games left to play, and Joe Flacco's only been playing for the Browns for a few weeks now. So the fact that I think they can get even better from where they're at right now is pretty crazy. But before I get into why exactly I believe that, if you like Browns content just like this, make sure to go down and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any Browns content for the remainder of this season. Okay, so to get back on topic with the Cleveland Browns, starting with the offense, I mean, I know they didn't look that great against the Bears, but to give the Bears a little bit of credit, their defense really has been a dominant force over this past month of football. So going into this game, I didn't expect the Browns to go in there and score 40 points, but I also didn't expect them to go in there and turn the ball over 3 times and give the Bears multiple chances to win the game. But even with the Browns giving the ball away multiple times, they still found a way to pull it out and win the game, which is all that really matters in the long run. Now, Joe Flacco, for the majority of this game, looked like an absolute mess. He looked a little panicky in the pocket, probably due to his backup O-lineman getting absolutely crushed by Montez Sweat, and we saw that lead to a lot of rush throws, which led to interceptions or broken up passes. But what I loved from Joe Flacco in this game was the fact that even though he played bad throughout the entirety of the game, when it came down to the game on the line and he had to make some throws to go win the game, he found a way to do it, and some of the throws he made were absolutely spectacular. So he's shown us now what he's capable of doing. We just need to see him do it on a consistent basis, and I think that's just something that's going to come the longer he's in this system. But man, the biggest takeaway I had from this entire game wasn't the way Joe Flacco played, it was the way that these weapons that he has to throw to played. First of all, man, that guy Amari Cooper proves week in and week out that he's one of the best receivers in this league, and he did that once again in this game. I mean, we already know he's one of the best route runners in the league, but on top of that, he's also really good at getting yardage after the catch, and we saw that come in handy big time when he went and scored the game-tying touchdown. So you have him as your true #1 receiver, and he's going to do a really good job at that. And then you also have probably your second best option on the field in David Njoku, who is finally getting used to the amount that he deserves, because this guy, ever since Joe Flacco has gotten here, has been going off. Joe Flacco makes sure that he gives this guy multiple chances week in and week out, and we see David Njoku take full advantage of those opportunities. He's big, he's fast, he's athletic, and everyone knew that. He just wasn't getting the targets, but now that he's getting the targets, everyone is seeing what this guy can really do. And then another super bright spot for this Browns offense going forward is the fact that Cedric Tillman can also be a really solid player in the receiving game if you need him to be, which is really good to see considering he's only a rookie. And then of course we saw Marquise Goodwin have one of the biggest catches in the game deep down the field where Joe Flacco threw an absolute dime. And when the Browns picked up Marquise Goodwin this past offseason, I knew he wasn't going to come in and be a game wrecker or anything, but I knew he could make maybe 1 or 2 plays a game that changed the complex of that game, and that's exactly what we saw against the Bears. So when I look at this passing attack from top to bottom, as long as Joe Flacco can become a little bit more consistent, I think they have a chance to be a really, really good unit that's hard to stop, especially when their offensive line can be fully healthy. Speaking of the offensive line though, when they're not healthy, it is a struggle because of course we saw Joe Flacco get sacked 4 times, and on top of that, we also saw the run game suffer with Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt not having their best days. So if the Browns want to have a lot of success in the playoffs, they're going to need these guys to get healthy. So hopefully we'll see this offensive line continue to get healthier and healthier going into the playoffs. And if they do that, I'm really confident in what this offense brings to the table. But of course, this team isn't made from their offense. It's made from their super elite defense. I mean, this defense, man, was all over Justin Fields and that offense all day long, not only getting after them in the passing attack, but also doing a really good job at slowing down the run game. And as we all know, the success of this defense starts up front with the defensive line, and they proved that once again. Myles Garrett, while he didn't have a sack, was still dominant in this game, and we saw him get back after the passer multiple times throughout the game. And then, of course, we saw Alex Wright get himself a sack, and on top of that, we saw guys like Shelby Harris, Zadarius Smith, and Dalvin Tomlinson getting after Justin Fields all day long, even though they didn't have a sack to their name. But what's been impressing me the most about this defense is the fact that these linebackers that a lot of people didn't think highly of have been playing at an extremely high level, and that all starts with that guy, J.O.K. Not only did he lead the team in tackles in this game, but he also had a sack and he had a huge interception, which just shows that he was all over the field all day long. Jim Schwartz loves to blitz, especially against quarterbacks like Justin Fields that love to hold the ball, and we saw him do that with J.O.K. multiple times, and J.O.K. was consistently causing issues. And on top of that, we also saw the linebackers do a really good job at containing the run, and that's not an easy task against a Bears team that has Justin Fields on it. So with all things considered, this front seven is looking to be better and better every single week, and that's pretty crazy to say considering what they've already accomplished so far this season. And then as far as the secondary goes, man, I was honestly kind of worried about what they would look like without Grant Delpit on the field, considering he's one of their better players. But man, it looks like they can still play at an extremely high level even without him in the game, which says a lot about how talented this defense really is. We've seen Martin Emerson play extremely good football. We've seen Greg Newsome play extremely good football. And then of course, it's always good to see that guy Denzel Ward back on the field, considering he's your #1 corner and he can shut down #1 receivers if you need him to. So when healthy, I love what the Browns have in the corner room. And then on top of that, when you look at the safeties, DeAnthony Bell played really good football as well, getting himself a big time interception, which just shows how good this defense really is as a unit. So I think personally, if the Browns can figure out this offense and just get the turnovers to go away, or at least go down a few, they're going to be just fine, and they're going to be able to put up 24-ish plus points a game, which is plenty enough when you have a defense like the Cleveland Browns have. You're not going to see many teams score 20 plus points on this defense unless the offense gives them those points. So like I said, not turning the ball over and just getting 24-ish points should do the job for the offense. But that's just my opinion, so I'm still curious to know your thoughts on the Cleveland Browns going forward. So let me know how you feel in the comments below. And with that being said, I'll catch all of you guys in the next one.